We're at the wheel of the brand new Porsche GTP on iRacing. We're at Spa, 23 cars on the grid. Let's get out there, let's see what we can do, and most importantly, let me tell you my thoughts about this wonderful car. Let's do this. We're about to go green for the first time ever in the brand new Porsche GTP. Let's do this, guys. Leader has gone. We're gonna brake nice and early because it's super easy to lock up the tires here on the first turn of this lap here at Spa. Nice and tight around the hairpin. Trying to not lose the rear.
Green.
We're not clear.
15 minutes remaining, 15 minutes.
On our left side, so we're gonna lift a little bit. We'll let him through. We'll tuck in right behind him. Oh, we've got to run on the guys ahead, and there's a bit of trouble.
Car right.
We're gonna try and ship up. Oh, and I'm being shoved, and I'm being shoved again. Shoved onto the grass. Let's try and rejoin the track here, guys. We lost a bunch of position.
Car right.
Oh, this is nuts. Oh, there's issues, and all these guys are dead.
Like who?
All right, that was insane. The fact that I got taken out and shoved over to the left side there was a blessing in disguise, because otherwise I would have been on the optimal racing line. I would have probably gotten collected in that massive incident in Lacombe. Let's keep going, guys. Unbelievable. What a start to this race. Oh, I'm going wide. Everyone's going wide here. Tires are still cold, and the first thing that I can tell you about this car is that obviously the difference in grip is so noticeable on cold tires, and that's obviously the case for basically most of the prototypes. Oh, bit of a lockup. We're all good, we're all good. As I was saying, that's the case for basically all of the prototypes, but I really noticed that it takes like a couple of full laps in order to get the full potential out of the car. So learning how to drive it on cold tires, obviously, like most cars, but I feel like especially pronunciated in this Porsche is quite important. We're gonna try to not lock up here. Mild lock up. A guy behind me went super long. We got a slow car on the left. Try not to get that wheel spin. And alright, everyone, let's check out that big incident on the first lap. It was Hanso Kui in the brand new Acura. As you can see, going into Legombi, loses the rear and collects a bunch of cars with him. His Acura then shoots across the track and miraculously manages to not wreck me. From the chopper cam, you can see that his car actually basically went through mine, and by some iRacing sorcery, I managed to survive this wreck. And now back to the live action with my first impression of this car out of the box. I have practiced with the car for a total of about 30 minutes before starting this race, and the first thing that I noticed is just how incredibly stable this prototype is. It's honestly, it's very intense because of the speed, but it's actually very easy to drive. I have very little experience in prototypes in general. I've driven the R1, the Praga R1 on Rennsport a bunch. I've driven the LMP3 a bunch, and I gotta say that this is so far the most stable thing, at least in terms of prototypes, that I've ever driven. The car really invites you to trust her. It feels nice and stable under braking, and overall is just a very intense but not necessarily difficult driving experience, and it's just so trustworthy. This is the number one thing that comes to mind to me right now: stability and trustworthiness. As soon as the tires are warmed up, lockups in first gear under braking or in second gear under braking are much less frequent. Obviously, as long as you don't exceed about 80 to 85% brake pressure, which you don't really want to do in a prototype anyway. Very significant engine braking on this car. You can really get it slowed down by cycling through the gears quickly. Big scrap ahead. I also feel like anytime that you're about to lose this car, anytime that you feel yourself losing grip, literally a tiny lift on the gas puts it right back in shape. So in that sense, the car feels rather forgiving too, I have to say. It feels like genuinely like a forgiving car. I mean, for the practice that I've had in it, I'm racing, and it's fine. Normally I have to practice way more before I feel like I can take a car out on track. As you can see, everybody getting slightly out of shape in first gear, coming out of slow corners. It's very, very important to modulate the throttle out of a slow corner, because this thing is literally just gonna slip away. Draft doesn't seem to be too strong in this car, although it is also the case that we're in a... Oh, and there's trouble!
Clear left.
Oh, and I got bumped from behind as well.
Looks like it's Kerner.
So we're in a little bit of a draft train at the moment, so that's also probably why draft is not feeling very powerful at the moment. Oh, and I'm losing control now of the car. I think I'm struggling a little bit
Track limits, watch those lines.
with overheated tires, perhaps. Or maybe I have some aero damage around the back, I'm not sure. But I got tapped in the rear there, and maybe that's what caused that. And indeed, as you can see, after a couple of relatively uneventful laps, on lap 5 as we were going through Lecombe, the driver ahead of me got out of shape and I had to take evasive action. As I was rejoining the racing line, Altaikasang taps me in the rear and causes a little bit of aero damage. After this, however, the car was still quite easy to drive, despite a little bit of instability at the beginning. And alright everybody, let's rejoin the live action in lap 6. We're currently sitting in P8 and I will share with you something that I did not enjoy very much about this car. One little bit of feedback that maybe isn't as positive as everything else that I've mentioned so far is that perhaps the car feels a little bit like a tank when you're trying to get it around a really slow corner. Like you really have to slow it down significantly before you can actually get it to like wrap around like a tight hairpin, for instance. So at Spa there's a couple of corners like this, especially turn 1 where I've noticed this. And to combat this mid-corner understeer, it's also advisable to try and induce a little bit of throttle to try and keep the car rotating. Ideally, in this car, you want to be coasting as little as possible. And obviously, this is the fixed setup, so on an open setup I am sure that there will be tweaks that will make this car less understeery. But overall, I would say that if you enjoy an understeery, solid, planted, trustworthy car, then the Porsche might definitely be the GTP for you. And now we're about to rejoin the live action in the final lap, at which point I was actually promoted to P6 because of one driver getting a slowdown penalty, which I overtook, as well as one driver who had an incident going through Eau Rouge, which we also picked up as a freebie. Alright everybody, for one last lap around Spa in the brand new Porsche GTP, let's try and secure this wonderful P6, which should be an incredible result given that I've basically just picked up the car and hopped into a race pretty much. And there we go, guys. We're gonna be finishing our first ever race in the GTP in P6.
Well done.
Thank you, Jim. I absolutely enjoyed that, guys. That was a wonderful run in this brand new car. It's such a beautiful thing to drive. I really enjoyed that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and the feedback that I provided you. Hopefully you found this entertaining and useful. And by all means, feel free to comment on the car down in the comments, ask me any question. If you've tried this car, let me know how you liked it. If on the other hand you've tried the brand new Acura, let me also know what you thought about that one and how it compares to this one, guys. Super curious to hear your experience. If you found the video useful, please consider liking, consider subscribing. All my links are in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.